One day in Seoul, a guy asks if this is the place where his girlfriend dropped her phone. She says that she can't see anything and that it's very dark here. And the guy decides to call to find her phone number. Turns out the phone fell into a ditch, where, besides the phone, was there some other disgusting substance. The broken phone was lying on this substance. The girl screams that it's disgusting, and the man says that she's funny. The guy is surprised, thinking that these are frog eggs, and asks what the hell they are doing here. Afterwards, he reached for his phone. Taking out his phone, he says that she should clean it. But the moment he touches these eggs, he notices something. At this moment, the girl doesn't notice anything. And the guy froze in one pose. The girl started to hurry him so that he would get his phone faster. But he doesn't answer, and because of that, she's on a substitute basis. She calls the guy to answer, but he looks somewhere and remains silent. The girl asks if he is okay and that he is scaring her. The guy turns to the girl in horror. And in fear, he says what is happening to him. The man is surprised that these eggs seem to be devouring his hands and growing, and that they are not removed. The girl screams at what she sees and moves away from him. The guy is screaming that he needs help. But the girl, in fear, screams at him to get lost. At this moment, this liquid completely consumes this guy and the girl runs away from him. While running away, she slips and falls somewhere. The dog looks at her in surprise. She fell near the river. But when he got up, he noticed something. That there are the same glowing eggs on the ground. Lots of glowing eggs. Seoul school bus. They are going to Seoul for a school trip. Meet Envu. The time displayed on the phone screen is 8:25. Still 30 minutes to Seoul. It's the first day of the school trip and Yin was first time in Seoul. He was staring off into space. It's clear that he was looking at one girl the whole time. This girl's name is Soi Eon and she is Yinwa's classmate. Yinwa doesn't take his eyes off her, because Yinwa is secretly in love with her. The girls are chatting nicely and they are planning to go shopping when they get to Seoul. And they continue to communicate. Yinwa is happy because he can spend time with Soi Eon. Someone asks what Yinwa is doing. Turns out it was Kim Jubyung. He asks if he's okay because Yinwa's face looks red and offers him some gum. Yinwa explains that he's fine. Juben seemed a little strange to Yinwa. The class activist calls everyone and asks to look at the camera. Everyone is getting into the frame. And together they shout that they are the third graders of Chong'an School, and that they are on a school trip to Seoul. Meanwhile, Yinwa can't stop admiring Soi Eon. While she's having fun with the others, they are almost there. The activist begins recording and welcomes all Hong Kong TV subscribers. They are going to record the entire tour. She says that they are now entering Gyeongbokgung Palace. The teacher forbids Hanmi from filming while they walk along the road. But at that moment, the teacher realizes that it was a video and becomes embarrassed. Yinwa isn't that sociable and that's why he doesn't communicate with anyone. The teacher suggests stopping here. The students agree. Yinwa is sitting alone. He sees others having fun. He says that Hanmi always makes vlogs. And he thinks that if he starts filming too, will Soyeon talk to him? At this time, Zhongbin asks what is with his dull look. And he says that there is no need to say that he also wants to participate in this kindergarten. Youngwoo says that's not true and asks if the other guy wants to start vlogging. Junbei explains that he doesn't want to be in this group of extroverts and asks if the guy knows why, calling him an idiot. And he says that in the end people like them will just die. For Enwo this seems strange. The guy explains that, by the way, he knows that Yukina's live performance of 27 Princesses was a great temptation, and as a fan, she acknowledges her performance in Cinderella Girls. At this time, Hongmi starts filming Soyeon and Yinwoo notices it. Soyeon introduces herself sweetly to the camera. Hongmi begins interviewing Soyeon. While they were filming the video, Yinwoo couldn't take his eyes off Soyeon. Soyeon smiles sweetly at the camera. Yinwoo, who was looking at her, became embarrassed. While the rest are taking photos together, and they discuss future plans, Yinwoo and Juben spend time together. Envu falls in love with Soyeon, and he says it's obvious and laughs. Some guys to girls. Turns out it was Kang Jihoon. He is the class monitor of the 3rd grade, and he gets along well with the rest of the class. Yinwoo finds them amazing. He wished he could talk to them just as easily. And at this time Hanmi turns to them and explains that she hasn't introduced them yet. She asks if they watch Annie during their trip. The guy sheepishly replies that he doesn't. Jinbu wasted no time in introducing himself to the camera, much to Hongmi's surprise. But the girl asks Yinwoo to introduce himself. She asks to look at the screen and say something. Yinwoo greets everyone and explains that he is a 3rd grader at Chang'an High School. Hongmi says he's a pretty nice guy, laughing, but he doesn't think so. Hongmi asks Yinwoo what place he would like to visit on the school trip, but he looks towards Soyeon, and he's embarrassed. The class is having fun together. Girls taking photos. They walk around the city together. They take a group photo. At this moment the girl notices something. A dove pounces on her. This made her very scared. She calls them abominations and leaves with everyone. While they were fooling around, the pigeons flew away from them. There is some kind of lattice near these pigeons, and on this grate you can see the blood of herrings. Those same strange eggs are visible on the grill, and one of the pigeons approaches this egg. Yinwoo hears a clap and turns around, and he sees how this substance attacks the dove. He finds it strange, but he is very surprised. But at that moment, Jihoon calls him by name. He asks why Yinwoo is hanging out alone, and asks if he can ask for a favor. But Yinwoo can't get over what he saw and wonders, "What was that?" And he thinks that maybe it seemed to him. Traces of blood are visible on the grill. These eggs trapped the pigeon and killed it. Seoul City. The students are surprised. What's cool about the hotel? The teacher says everyone is waiting here and isn't leaving. The teacher explains that the class monitor will keep an eye on everyone while she goes to get the room keys. Hanmi continues to record her vlog. She films everything around her. She's looking for someone she hasn't introduced yet. And he sees a girl who reads books and says that she is the best student in the whole school. They call her Asura. 2 boys burst into the frame. Han says he's the best in the 3rd grade, and Kangmin says he's the brain of the 3rd grade. The guy asks if he's filming him and starts talking nonsense about it. Hanmi gets mad at them and takes the camera away. She notices Yinwoo sitting alone. At this time, Yinwoo was scrolling through the chat in the messenger. He didn't notice anyone. While scrolling through the chat, he stumbles upon Soyeon's profile, and joyfully opens Soyeon's profile, and he notices that she changed her profile picture. At this time, Hanmi quietly approached from behind. She asks what Yinwoo is looking at, and Yinwoo is surprised. She asks whose profile this is. Yinwoo replies in fear that it is no one's, but Hongmi insists that he show whose profile it is. Yinwoo explains that he was just looking at photos from the group chat, and Hongmi doesn't believe him, and Woo asks why 3 times. She asks Yinwoo to give her the phone for a second and explains that she will borrow it for a short time, but Yinwoo is indignant and refuses. Another girl asks Hanmi what he is doing here and suggests that he go faster. She says they are getting ready for a talent show and laughs. The girl tells him to hurry up and film it. Hongmi wonders where and says that she will see Yinwoo later. Yinwoo isn't exactly happy about this. The guy sits with his head down, and he says that he's in trouble and wonders why Hanmi was the one who caught him. At this time she had already left to film a video. Someone calls out to Yinwoo, and Yinwoo is surprised when the man places his hand on his shoulder. Turns out it was the headman. He says that he had been looking for him for a long time. And Woo wonders why they need him, and then the headman asks if he forgot what he told him. Yinwoo asks why they need him. The guy asks Yinwoo to look here, showing the contents of the backpack, and asks to guess what is in this bag. Yinwoo is surprised to find 3 bottles of soju in his bag. Yinwoo yells that it's soju, and the class leader warns that someone might hear. He explains that they actually brought drinks too, pointing at the others. The headman says that they will have a party today. The headman explains that he needs someone to carry the bag and that he just needs to carry it, and if he gets caught, he will still become a hero on this trip, and asks what Lee thinks. He asks if Yinwoo agrees. Yinwoo says he needs to go and the other guy asks him to wait. The headman asks if there is anyone he wants to get closer to. He asks if he knew that everyone from the class would be there. He says that he also called all the girls, and at that moment Yinhua thought. Sutrasta says that everything will happen anyway, and explains that if he misses this opportunity, he will regret it later. Yinhua thinks, and he agrees, saying that nothing should happen. The teacher says it's time to get ready. She says that now she will assign everyone to rooms, and explains that this teacher will help here. The boy says his name is Chung-ong and he is from class 3, year 1. Someone is laughing. It turns out it's Hanmi, who hasn't yet forgotten about that incident. Zongbi is asked what he is doing, and why is Yinhua so nervous, and asks to look. Zongbi shows the map and says that he said he would take them. Yinhua says he's the best and thanks him. Junbei says it looks like he wants to leave the trip. Yinhua says he has something too and offers to show it. He shows the contents of the bag with bottles. Junbei yells what the hell, and Yinhua tells him to be quiet, so that the teacher doesn't catch them. While they were talking, the teacher noticed them, and he began to call them. He demands to let him check the bag. Yinhua is shocked. The teachers caught them and took the bottles away. She scolds him and asks if he has more bottles. He says that's all. She says she will see him and his parents when they return to school and lets him go. Yinhua is afraid that his mother will kill him. Yinhua returned to his room, and he noticed the headman. He started saying that he was so worried about Yinhua and asked how he was doing. The class president encourages Yinhua and says that he is a good friend. Yinhua notices soju in the class president's bag, and asks if they are going to the party now. The headman says that they hadn't decided where to go yet and that the teacher was still patrolling. He says he'll call when he finds a good place and advises to take a rest. The headman says he will recruit as soon as he can. Night is falling. Yinhua is still waiting for the call, but no one has called him yet. He starts to get angry. The guy with the phone is surprised and asks what happened. The place where everyone gathered. They all spend time together. The man says that Kang Ji-hoon is a son of a bitch and is angry at him. Namsan Tower cable car. All students arrived at Namsan Tower in Seoul. The girl suggests going on the cable car. The guy explains that it will take about 3 minutes. The guy says it will be about 600 meters at a speed of 3.2 meters per second, and that the average slope of the track is 77 degrees. Junba asks if Yinhua, who is on a cable car for the first time, is feeling unwell. He didn't hear him, but then he says yes. He feels like there is a huge gap between him and Soyeon. The headman doesn't care that he screwed Yinhua. Ji-hoon continues talking to the girl, but Yinhua doesn't understand why Kang Ji-hoon didn't call him. He thinks he's distant or that the others were against him coming. Junbei pokes Youngwoo and he gets angry at him. At this point, Soyeon is surprised, asking if this is true. She says that she also wasn't on the cable car like Yinhua. Yinhua was so surprised he couldn't answer. The girl asks Yinhua what happened yesterday and asks if he was caught drinking. The girls look at Yinhua in surprise, thinking that he was caught with soju. Soyeon is surprised, asking if he's serious and says that Yinhua is impressive and asks if he was scared. He gets embarrassed and replies that it wasn't that bad. A man in a green shirt calls them to come into the cabin. The girls go first. A cable car can be seen against the backdrop of the mountain. The guy says he can see everything. They are surprised by the sight. Yinhua thinks he can talk to Soyeon. He smiles. While the students were filming the scene, some kind of warning came, and at that moment a pigeon crashes into the window and breaks it. The students scream in fear that this is. The boy is surprised and asks if it is a dove. They ask where the birds suddenly appeared from. Drops of blood are visible on the glass, flowing down. They look at it in shock. The cable car moves over the forest, bubbles flying out of the cabin. A crowd of people stands in a crowded vehicle and looks at the broken glass from outside. The bird was infected with eggs. Everyone moves away from the window. Someone started filming this. The guy says it's so creepy. The guy says it might be frog eggs. The glass cracks and starts to break. The guy is surprised and says that he can see through a glass crack. The girl with long black hair is surprised. A drop falls on a surface. Everyone starts to move away. Soyeon screams that it hurts. Yinwoo apologizes to a girl named Soyeon for stepping on her foot, and Soyeon says that she's okay and that things happen. The woman tells her to move forward. The man explains that there is no room behind her. Yinwoo is surprised that she is so close to Soyeon. The teacher calls the third grade. A woman yells at everyone to stop. A guy says he's about to be crushed to death. A girl asks if the guys will keep pushing. The guy with the backpack says, "Come on." And the man encourages him to push as hard as he can. The guy is surprised. The guy asks Kong Min what he is doing. The guy says to look at the frog eggs. The guy explains that if you look closely, you can see that they are moving, and asks what it is. The guy says they seem to have arrived, and the man replies that he doesn't know. A man asks what it is, and another man says he doesn't know. They explain that he was hit by a radio and ask if it doesn't look really disgusting. The man apologizes for the inconvenience and asks people to leave with caution. The man asks to follow the stairs. The girl screams. A girl screams to wait for her, and another girl says it's creepy. The woman says that these things move disgustingly. The guy says he doesn't want to go there, and the other guy asks him to stop pushing him. The girl says they arrived at the top of Namsan Tower and something strange happened. The boy says he hates pigeons and that he's not going seriously. A man says he can't get through, and another man asks him to get out of the way. A man with a hood is sweating and screaming. The girl is surprised and says Soyeon. The guy explains that it hurts to step on his feet, and the girl asks him to forgive her for her recent behavior. The girl says that everything is fine and reminds him that the guy apologized earlier, and Yinwoo confirms this and asks if that is true. A guy explains that pigeons collide with a cable car and wonders how that's possible. The man explains that's what cable cars look like and laughs. The man yells at the guy for being stupid. The guy explains that he doesn't mean that and tries to say something. The girl is surprised and asks what exactly. The guy explains that she knows. A woman asks a guy if he wants to tell her something, and the guy is surprised and explains that he doesn't know what to answer. The guy is surprised and says that Soyeon doesn't want to. The girl says to go with her to the observatory. The guy shouts. The guy is screaming. The girl screams that this is some kind of nonsense. The guy asks if Gail is okay, and the girl asks what happened to her. The girl says it's disgusting and expresses disgust. The woman says he just jumped out and then started throwing things around, and warns people to be careful. The man says it happened suddenly. The boy asks what happened to Min Gail and explains that she fell again from boredom. Min Gail indignantly explains that she didn't fall. The guy with glasses says it's so annoying and the other guy is surprised. The woman calls Min Gail. A guy asks a girl what she has on her leg. The guy is screaming. The girl is surprised that something strange is happening to her legs. The woman screams that she is in pain, and the guy screams. The guy says, "You!" The girl screams that something strange is clinging to her leg. The other men scream. The woman screams that she is in pain. A girl asks Minji if he's okay, and another girl asks how he is. The woman explains that it must be very painful. The girl asks if it hurts, and the man asks what happened there. The girl says her name is Minji, and the other girl is surprised that it is him. The guy asks what the other guy has on his face. A man asks a girl what happened and if she is okay, and the girl screams. The girl screams at the mister and asks him to help her. The man says he works here and that something is wrong with him. He explains that something is clinging to him and screaming. The woman screams, "What is this?" and the man is surprised. A man screams, "What the hell and what is this?" Another man screams and a third man screams and makes a sound. The guy yells, "What the hell?" and tells him to get out of the way. A guy with a backpack shouts to close the door, and a man in a cap explains to close it faster. The guy with glasses asks what's going on there, and Yinwoo repeats the question, "What's going on there?" The girl asks Baek Min what he is doing and what is happening there, and he explains that he hears Gail's voice. The guy shouts that he is, and the man shouts the name Gail. The girl yells at the guy to wait a minute and asks what's wrong with him. The man says Hong Mi is an idiot and asks if she sees all the nastiness on earth. The girl screams that it's Min Gail. The guy says she's an idiot for not realizing it's spreading. then explains that she looks like a monster and is serious. The girl screams that his friend looks like a monster, and Yinwoo explains that this is not true. The guy is screaming. The guy says he's leaving here, and the other guy explains that she really is an idiot. The guy in the cap and glasses says he hears footsteps. The girl covers her mouth with her hand and says it's scary. The guy with headphones explains that someone is coming. The guy in the hoodie says they need to hide. The girl on the right says they need to be careful. The woman asks the guys to help her and open the door. The woman says it's so painful and asks for help, begging for help and calling for someone. The guy screams, the girl is surprised, the man shouts. The guy in the cap is screaming that he can't breathe, and the guy in the white cap is explaining that he needs to calm down and not panic. Cracks and stains resembling spilled liquid or damage are visible behind the glass door. The image shows a tall television tower against the backdrop of the sky and green trees, with people around the base of the tower. The guy asks if he understands correctly that it means the entrance to the observatory. The woman says she has about 25 students, and the man asks how far it is from here. The man explains that if you take the stairs outside she'll be right there, and the woman says they have a reservation and the man starts to answer that it's. The girl is surprised. A group of people shout, expressing outrage and asking what kind of nonsense this is. The woman screams and then says, "Guys, class 3, what are you doing?" The woman says guys and is surprised. The man falls to the floor and screams. The woman screams, calling for Minji. The woman screams what happened to Minji and demands that he get up, asking if he can hear her. A woman says the word teacher with difficulty, then lets out a scream. The man asks to be saved and coughs. He says it hurts and asks for help. The woman says Minji's name and screams. There are spots and streaks on the door glass that resemble blurred circles and lines. Several people bend over and try to pick something up or reach something from the floor. The guy is screaming. The men are breathing heavily. The man breathes heavily and asks if the other man has seen Min Gale, and the second man breathes heavily in response. A guy in a cap tells another guy to look and explain what's going on. The second guy yells at them to leave him alone and demands to see for himself. The man says that this is the devil knows what and shouts. The guy screams that he's the devil and at the same time screams. The girl expresses surprise. A man shouts, "What is this?" and another man asks him not to push. A guy screams. A girl falls down. A man in a cap suddenly moves forward. A woman screams that she needs help. The man screams that he is in pain. Yinwoo breathes heavily and suddenly notices something. The girl is surprised and says that her heart is beating hard. The girl is shaking. The guy says he's fine and calls the girl Soyeon. A man in a cap screams, and the others are surprised. An emergency alert appears on the phone screen, stating that a mysterious virus has been detected in various areas of Seoul and Gangwon, and citizens are being asked to be careful. The guy is screaming. The man shouts that he's tired. The girl says they're almost at the top. Several men are screaming and running down the stairs, and at the top of the stairs 2 men are leaning over. The guy in the cap says he's already eaten, and the guy with glasses explains he can't eat today. The girl is surprised they're all together. The guy says it's some kind of viral warning message and wonders why he's getting disaster warning messages and then yells what to do now. The guy yells that they are in deep shit, and the girl wonders what to do, and the guy orders her not to whine. The guy is surprised, and the man says it's all because of the frog eggs. The man is silent. The guy screams that he doesn't understand what's happening, and the other 2 guys scream that it happened again. The guy yells that she is coming and the other guy is surprised that she is. The boy screams. The man remains silent. The guy explains that he can't get in because the door is locked. The girl says she has the key and offers to open the door. The guy says she's driving him crazy and asks him to look at her, and another guy asks Min Gale if she's dead. A guy in a cap with black hair wonders what's going on, and a man with glasses asks if he's okay. The woman wonders why Gale is standing like that and asks him to tell her something. The woman says the man is silent. The guy with glasses calls Gale and repeats his name. The guy tells Yinwoo to go and ask if she's okay, explaining that he's the closest, and Yinwoo is surprised that he was chosen. The guy says why him and not someone else. The girl is surprised and says why her. The girl is surprised and trembles. touching her lips with her fingers. Yinwer is surprised that he can't understand what's going on. The guy says he understands and will ask her. The guy is surprised and says, The man says it's good. The man says the name Gale. The guy asks if his interlocutor is okay. The guy with glasses says that he needs to ask her a little louder and asks if she can hear him. Yinwer asks if it's okay now and gets an affirmative answer. The guy says well. A man leans his head against the glass of a door. The man says she looks scary and Yinwer replies that he knows. The guy shouts, asking if it's Gale. The boy screams that he can't believe what's happening. The girl explains that they need to be careful and not panic. The man explains that the situation is more complicated than it initially seemed. The guy is surprised that the other one is okay and screams. The girl says, damn. And the guy yells, what the hell is this? The guy screams. He notices a disaster alert on his phone and says there's another disaster alert message. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. The image shows a close-up of a face with closed eyes and blisters around the mouth, accompanied by the sound of a blow. The girl is screaming. A man says people were suffering, and another man is surprised and calls it disgusting. The man yells that they need to get in there and orders the other man to shut up and go. The man says he's going to the cable car and is surprised. The guy shouts what it is and swears. A woman screams. The guy yells, what the hell happened here? The man explains what happened. A woman suddenly attacks a man, pulling long tentacles out of him, and the man tries to defend himself by covering his head with his hands. The guy in the cap screams. The girl with glasses covers her face with her hands. The girl with a ponytail is surprised. The guy with glasses screams. The guy is screaming. The guy screams what the hell and wonders what it is. The guy shouts that he should leave quickly and he will stop this crap. Another guy asks how he is. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. The guy screams that he is making a sound and the creature screams. The guy screams what the hell he is and asks if they should help him. The guy shouts that if they are all in danger, then this is unacceptable and asks if the other one has gone crazy, and then demands that if he wants to help, he goes himself. The guy yells that the other guy is crazy and asks if they're just going to watch and do nothing. The guy is screaming and breathing heavily. The monster screams. The boy screams that he can't believe this happened and that he's not going to give up. The man explains that they must keep fighting, despite the difficulties. A man with a cap explains the rustling sound when trying to open a door. A hand moves the bolt on the door. The girl is surprised, the guy in the cap with glasses is surprised, the girl with glasses is surprised, the guy with curly hair is surprised, the guy with glasses is surprised, the girl with straight hair is surprised. The guy explains that the door is locked. The guy wonders what's going on and says it's better to lock the door if she opens the door. The man screams, trying to break through the door, and the guy reacts with surprise to what is happening. A man shouts for the door to be opened quickly, while another man asks for the door to be opened. Please. A man shouts to attract attention. A man shouts that he is coming. The man shouts that he wants the door opened and bangs on it hard. The guy in the cap is screaming, the other guys are screaming too. A guy shouts to open the door. Several people with frightened faces look forward. The guy screams that no. The guy screams and Yinwer is surprised. A guy in round-frame glasses, a girl and him screaming at the same time. They ask for help and ask for please. A man with deformed and blistered skin screams. The guy is surprised that he can't understand why his heart is beating so hard. The image contains no text or characters, but instead features a creature with an open mouth and many bubbles on its body, standing behind a glass door. The guy is screaming. The guy says, what is this? And the girl says, oh my god. The guy screams that this is crap, and the girl screams that this is fucking shit. The guy is screaming. The man shouts, what the hell and why? The guy screams and Yinwer is surprised. A guy with a cap and glasses is talking to someone. A guy with a backpack and a guy with black hair are sitting next to each other. A man in a peaked cap is sitting next to them. The guy shouts that he is keep, and the other guy asks to be quiet, explaining what they will do if she comes back. The guy with glasses says he doesn't understand what happened and curses. The man with the cap is breathing heavily. The man with the round glasses is breathing heavily. The girl says she's breathing heavily too. The guy is surprised that she left and screams. The girl screams, the boy screams. The woman cries and explains that because of them she just. The girl says that it is all their fault and that they could have saved him. The guy shouts that he doesn't understand what the other person is talking about. The guy asks if he wants to open the door, and Yinwer explains that she didn't see it. The guy says that if he hadn't locked the door, everyone would have died. The man is breathing heavily and screaming. A man with a backpack grabs a handrail on public transport. The guy is surprised. The guy yells at him to stop and asks what he's doing, and Yinwer explains why. The guy wants to leave here, and the man says that if Gail comes back, then she is not here now, so he suggests that they all get out of here together. The guy with the cap says they can't outrun her and calls the other guy an idiot. The girl screams. The man remains silent. The guy shouts that he is surprised. The girl says she wants to know why the guy is looking at her and asks if he has anything to say. The guy says he just wanted to know if the girl was okay. And the girl explains that no, she was just. The girl is silent. The girl explains that she is fine and now he can stop staring at her. The guy says it's okay and asks for forgiveness. The woman squeezes her knees and hides her face in her hands, trembling. The guy is silent. A guy is screaming and a man is asking him to listen. The guy says it's very dangerous to go out and asks if the other guy understands how dangerous it is outside, so everyone gets out of here. The woman explains that they can only wait for rescue here, and the man asks if she understands. The woman explains that she cannot afford to be weak because she has a child. The man is silent. His hands are shaking. The guy says that the other guy has no right to tell them what to do, and the other guy reacts with silence. The guy says he doesn't understand. The girl sits with her knees pulled to her chest. The guy says he didn't help Gail but ran away instead, and asks how long he's going to run and hide. The guy says it's all because of her. A guy is screaming what's wrong with him, and another guy is calling him. The man explains that he doesn't understand why he's being accused and asks what's wrong with him. The girl is surprised that she is wrong and says that he also prevented them from helping Gail. The guy explains that the other guy closed the door when he realized he was afraid. The guy says that he and the others didn't ask for this and explains that it all happened because of him. A guy yells that what he did was best for everyone, and another guy asks him to stop. The guy yells that they are going through this together, and the girl asks the guys to stop. The woman says that if she's so good, she should leave now, and the man explains that Hannah is all talk and no action. The woman asks him to stop. The guy with the backpack and cap says huh, and Yinwer says who. The guy is surprised that he can't remember what happened. A woman asks Hannah if she's okay, and Hannah cries and calls for her mom. The guy says she started it. The other guy can't believe what's happening. The girl is crying and whining. The man calls her Hannah. The guy yells curses and the man yells after him. The guy turns around abruptly and is surprised. The man says there is someone there. A guy with a backpack says he just saw a cable car. The guy with the backpack screams that he can't believe what's happening, and the guy in the cap says in surprise that it's impossible. The girls and the guy with glasses are shocked and frightened. The guy yells PSH and the man explains what it is. The man says this is the control room. The cable car is moving towards the building. A man with a duck-shaped backpack sits on the floor, and a girl sits next to him, hugging her knees. A man in a cap with a backpack stands, and a man in a cap and shorts stands nearby. A man with a backpack and sunglasses stands by the window. The guy screams that he is alive. The guy asks if everything is okay, asks the guys to answer and asks if everyone is okay. The girl screams that no one is answering and she doesn't know what to do. The woman says she tried but couldn't contact anyone else, and the man asks if she can contact anyone else. The guy is screaming. A girl is crying. A man and a child are looking at her. The girl cries and says she feels sorry for Gail. The girl shouts that she's calling Soyun and asks if the others will be okay. The man remains silent. The man says they will be okay, turning to Soyun. The woman explains that they do have time to worry about others. The girl says that they don't even know what's going on there, and the guy explains that they have to be careful when they get there, adding that he's going straight home. The girl is surprised and speaks. The man is surprised. The girl with short hair is surprised. The image shows an automatic machine gun that makes the sounds of its mechanism working. The boy screams. The man remains silent. The girl is surprised. The man asks what's going on. The guy wonders why she suddenly stopped. A guy in a cap with a walkie-talkie says that the cable car stopped halfway, and another guy shouts to Mr. The guy is surprised and says that maybe the traffic is starting to move again. The guy says he sees the building and they're almost there. A cable car moves against the backdrop of a mountain. A guy screams. A girl and a man with a cap look on in surprise. The man with curly hair looks on tensely. Several lifeless bodies lie on the street in front of the building, and traces of blood and destruction are visible at the entrance to the building. The girl says there's something there. A man in a cap and a girl with short hair are looking in the same direction. In front of the entrance to the building there are several creatures covered in slime with bubbles. The image shows a cable car moving alongside a building with a sign. The guy is yelling, "What the hell?" The image shows a creature with multiple growths on its body, standing on all fours in a room covered with similar growths and balls. A man, also covered in these growths, lies nearby. The sound effect indicates a sharp or loud noise. Yanhwa screams. The image shows a large creature with many growths and bulges on its body. It is tilted downwards. The guy is screaming. A guy in a cap is screaming. A man with a red headband is screaming. The image shows a damaged cable car with a broken cabin window and a ladder nearby. The guy in the cap explains that they can't stay here because the police will be arriving soon, and the guy in the camouflage jacket says that they should stick together and not panic. The guy screams that it hurts and groans. The guy says it's crap and screams. The guy asks if everything is okay and the other one screams. The guy is screaming. The guy with the backpack says he feels like he's in hell, and the other guy is breathing heavily. The woman says they just got stuck on the cable car. The man wonders what just happened, and the woman explains that he can't see. The woman is surprised that this is really true and breathes heavily. The girl is surprised. The guy is screaming. The image shows a creature with lumpy skin behind glass. The creature is making a sound. The guy in the cap says what's there. The guy with curly hair calls out to the guys. The girl and the others listen. A guy in a cap is screaming, and another guy with a yellow backpack is saying something with concern. A hand breaks through glass. A guy screams that he's the devil, and another guy screams that what the hell. A viscous liquid drips and flows from the window, forming a puddle on the floor. The girl says he's coming and the guy shouts. The sound of an explosion accompanies the destruction and disintegration of an object. The guy is screaming. A man screams and then kicks the glass. A knock is heard. The guy is screaming. The man says, "Q." Several guys are screaming and hitting the glass, breaking it. A scream is heard simultaneously with a loud bang as the creature with the blurry form falls or collides with something. The guy is yelling at them not to get in his way and to just leave. A group of young people burst into the room, breaking down the door. A guy screams and falls through broken glass with a girl and a man. The woman screams that she is in pain, and the man breathes heavily. The guy is screaming that he needs to run. Several people scream and run away. The guy is screaming and breathing heavily. The guy is screaming, "What the hell?" The guy screams, the girl falls to her knees, the man raises his fist. A hand suddenly touches the man's shoulder. The girl is surprised that the guy is pulling her by the hand, and he is shouting that she needs to get out of here. The guy yells at Soyeon to go faster. A man in a cap runs after another man down the corridor. The boy screams and runs down the stairs, and the man follows him. The guy screams and runs quickly up the stairs. The guy is screaming, the guy says he's tired. The guy screams and laughs. The guy screams. The sound of footsteps can be heard. The guy is screaming. The guy is surprised. A thick sticky mass spreads and flows throughout the room, covering the floor and walls, forming bubbles and uneven streaks. The guy screams that the guy what and asks him to stop. The guy screams what the hell they should do, and the man laughs. A man screams. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming and the girl is holding his hand and trying to stop him. The guy is screaming. The guy yells at the girl to wait a minute. The guy is screaming. The girl says she's in pain. The man asks if she's okay. The guy screams that all this is because of him. The girl explains that it happened when they were escaping from the cable car and says that the man shouldn't worry about it. Yinwoo says it's good. The girl says thank you for helping. The girl screams and Yinwoo is surprised. The guy shouts to run. A guy is screaming and another guy is telling him to shut up and warning him that if he doesn't, he'll kill him. The guy in the cap asks what happened and why everyone is coming back, and the man with the yellow backpack explains that this is hell and they can't go down to the first floor. The guy shouts that these monsters are there too and there were a lot of them. The man listens. The guy shouts what he said. The girl is screaming. The sounds of heavy breathing can be heard in the room. The guy screams and the girl is surprised and asks what it is. The guy says it seems safe here. A man screams. A man screams. Intermittent wheezing sounds are heard. The monster screams, making strange sounds. The girl is crying and says she doesn't know what to do. The woman says she can't contact the teacher, says she's scared and asks when they'll be back. A man looks at a phone screen with a news feed. The guy in the cap says that all the information about these monsters is on the internet, and the other guy explains why they don't answer the phone and asks to call 119. The guy is silent. The guy asks what happened and where the other guy is going. Yinwoo tells him to shut up and explains that chaos has broken out, and the guy yells back. The guy says he has already eaten today. Several motionless bodies lie next to cars in the parking lot. The boy tells his mother that he is in the cable car building and can't get out because he is stuck on the second floor. They say that he and his father just left and ask Yinwoo to be careful, not to leave and to sit quietly. Yinwoo screams. The man says he's bleeding so much and asks if she's okay. The girl screams, "Ouch!" The man says he has to clean it properly. A woman thanks Hanmi. The guy asks if the other guy has any change, and Yinwoo is surprised and says he doesn't understand. A guy stands in front of a vending machine and shouts. The guy asks if Yinwoo wants anything. Yinwoo says he's fine. The guy calls for Jubyung. He asks if the man is okay. The man remains silent. The guy says he's fine, but at the same time explains that he can't be fine, then screams and cries. The boy says he shouldn't have come on this school trip and now regrets coming, and also explains that he should have been watching the live broadcast at home. The guy says he shouldn't have come here. There are drops of blood on the floor. Yinwoo notices this and is surprised. He thinks Soyeon is sad. A girl walks across the floor, leaving drops of blood behind her. The guy says she bled all the way here. The guy is screaming. The creature screams. A guy stands in front of a huge mutant with lumpy skin and many growths. The image shows a creature with multiple growths on its body. It moves or attacks, creating a sense of rapid movement. The girl and Yinwoo are screaming. The guy screams that he always works, and the creature screams that it can't die. A guy screams and runs after another guy. The guy screams what the hell when he sees the creature and people running away from it. The monster screams. Two men are running, one of them is screaming. A guy shouts that there's an exit and points there. Several people run towards the exit. A girl screams and another girl screams louder. The girl is screaming. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. Shouts and stomping are heard at the door. The guy screams and the man runs after him. The guy yells at them not to close the door. The man runs to the door. The guy screams that he's crazy, the man screams, the guy screams. The guy is screaming, the girl is scolding him. There's a giggle. The guy screams. The guy is breathing heavily. The guy screams that he's a piece of shit and breathes heavily. Yinwoo screams that he is, and the guy screams that he is. The guy grabs Yinwoo's hand and screams. The guy screams and asks to wait to listen to him. The guy screams that he really wants to die. The guy screams that he's a crazy idiot and asks why the hell he did that, and the other one explains that when they were running, the bastard tried to close the door and demands to let him go. The guy in the cap is shouting that a man says it is. Another man exclaims. The guy says it's the cable car they got off earlier. The guy explains that each floor is connected to an entrance and exit, so they just went around in a circle. Two men scream. A guy screams and runs up the steps. The guy screams, the girl screams. The woman screams that she is calling Hannah and screams. A woman screams that she's fine. A guy says he's tired. Another guy tries to say something, and a third guy calls out to him. The guy in the cap asks where the others are, and the girl on the stairs is surprised. The girl is screaming. The monster screams. The guy is screaming. The man is in shock. The girl screams that she is calling Soyeon. The girl asks Yinwoo if he's okay, and Yinwoo replies that he is and asks how she's doing. The girl says that she doesn't know what to do either, and he explains that he thinks everyone else has run away. The woman says yeah and explains that they are just a few steps from the door and then screams. The girl suggests that maybe they should stay like this, and explains that she thinks the monster can't see them, so all they can do is hide until it goes away. The woman asks what now and agrees. The image shows a wound with blood on the skin. A man screams, making intermittent sounds. A boy and a man are screaming. The man wonders what the guy shouts, "Damn it, guys," and asks where they are. The guy shouts what's going on there. The girl explains that she can't go out because the door is locked. A sound similar to a splash is heard. The girl is surprised when a man looks at her through the window, behind which a huge, strange figure is visible. A woman covers her face with her hands, and behind the wall a creature with an open mouth makes a hoarse sound. The guy screams that he is worth it. A man screams. The guy is screaming. The guy screams and jumps, pushing off the wall. The man screams and falls to the floor. The guy is screaming. The guy screams and runs down the hallway. The girl is surprised and says she can't believe this happened. The guy screams that he doesn't understand why they. The guy screams and runs up the stairs. The guy is screaming. The sound of footsteps can be heard on the stairs. The girl screams and falls down the stairs. Shouts and quick steps are heard. The man screams and runs forward. The guy screams and runs quickly through the door. The guy screams and runs out of the building. The scream is accompanied by the sound of a sharp blow. The guy screams and opens the door at the same time. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. The guy shouts that he is tired and says that it seems the pursuit has stopped. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. Yinwoo breathes heavily and is surprised. The man says he did something crazy, turning to him and shouting. The guy shouts that the guys. Yinwoo is surprised that he can't believe his eyes. An empty hallway with a few chairs and tables, as well as potted plants along the wall. The guy is silent. The guy is screaming. There's broken glass on the floor near the window. The guy is surprised that he can't get in. A group of people run along the roof of trucks, trying to escape from the many zombies that are gathering in the parking lot next to the cars. A girl with a backpack jumps off a roof. A girl in a light t-shirt explains that Yinwoo can't walk because his leg hurts. Yinwoo says that he fell and hurt his leg. A girl standing says that they need to call an ambulance. The girl is surprised that he can't eat. The boy says that he can't enter the classroom because the door is locked. The guy is surprised that he can't believe his eyes. The guy with the backpack shouts that he's always working, and Yinwoo explains that he's already eaten today. The girl says she can't just leave, and the man in the cap says they have to go back. A man helps a girl jump over a barrier near a ticket booth, while a huge creature with many tentacles can be seen behind them. A boy screams and runs along the sidewalk along the road with two other people. The guy asks, "Guys?" The guy is surprised and screams. A group of people run on the roofs of trucks parked next to cars in a parking lot. The guy is surprised and says he couldn't do that. The guy explains that earthquakes are common in the area and that this time, a crack appeared right in the parking lot. He says the crack is widening and could cause serious consequences. The guy asks where the guys are. Two people are shouting. The guy screams and runs. The guy is screaming. The guy screams and runs. The guy is screaming. Screams are heard outside, where cars and strange creatures are visible. The guy is screaming. A man is found covered in a slimy substance that spreads across stairs and cars. The guy is screaming. Why did they abandon him? A guy jumps through a broken window. A man screams. The guy is screaming and breathing heavily. The guy screams and then says, "Damn." The man yells, "Damn." Then the man says, "Guys, is there anyone here in the building?" The guy is screaming. A A man screams and opens his phone's contact list. The guy screams and then makes a sound like a horn. The guy screams what the hell and says hello. The guy is screaming. Manhwa says he's busy right now. The man screams that he is scared and swears. The guy shouts that there is a disaster alert again and shows an emergency message in which Seoul Station, Gyeonggi-han Square, Gwangwamun, and Gwangwamun Square have been declared a special disaster area by the CDSC. A sound signal is heard in the room. The guy is screaming. Signal sounds are heard. Manhwa is surprised and screams. A man screams. A man screams. The man says it's fucking hell, and it really is. Manhwa says he's not as brave as those guys and that it's funny. The guy says they jumped like it was easy, and the other guy is surprised it was easy. The guy says he's going to die and doesn't understand why. The guy shouts that it's Zubyung and suddenly shudders. A guy knocks on the door and says hey. The guy says to Zubyung and asks if you're there. The guy is screaming. The man says it's Manhwa and asks if it's him. The guy with glasses shouts that he is, and the man in the cap says that he is. The man is surprised. Manhwa says he's crying. A man with glasses says he's a loser, and another man justifies that he's not one. The guy in the cap asks Zubyung if he was abandoned too, and Zubyung yells who was abandoned here. The man shouts that he left them because they were bothering him and calls his interlocutor a brat. The man says that in any case he is glad to see the other and is glad that he is here, and Manhwa is surprised and asks what is wrong with him. The guy is screaming. The man says everything is clear and explains that he thinks he is not there. The guy suggests another way and asks how about the exit, and the man says that it will be bad if you just close the door. The man says he doesn't know and demands to go and close it, then shouts. The guy screams that he thinks it will happen again, and Manhwa walks away holding the plant in his hand. The guy says he can't afford to be weak. A broken flower pot with soil scattered on the floor, and a broken glass window frame and parked cars outside the building are visible. The guy asks what happened to the window, and Manhwa explains that they broke it to escape, and asks if the guy knows how they escaped. The guy in the cap says he knows. Manhwa says that he saw them and that they ran there. The guy is silent. The girl is surprised that her eyes have become so big. The guy screams that they are crazy and asks how they were able to escape from here, and Manhwa explains that they were abandoned as if they were nobody. The guy says that they can't even get out because of them and notices that the monsters are gathering and then asks if they can call them friends. The guy says he can't afford to be weak because he has a family he's responsible for. The guy in the cap says that he couldn't jump because he was scared and asks why he didn't go with them, and the man objects that it's not true and it's not like that. A man says he thinks he's right, and another man explains he's wrong and calls him a brat. The cable car supports and cabin are visible on the roof of the building. The man explains that he can't go on like this any longer, and the boy says that he's also tired and doesn't know what to do next. The guy screams and then says that they will have to stay like this for a long time. The man asks if he is hungry, and Manhwa explains that he is a little hungry and tells how long they have been waiting there. The man says it's about an hour. The man says there is no connection and asks to leave a voice message. The guy says he's still calling 119, and Manhwa replies that his mom and dad are almost here and asks him not to worry too much. The guy says that nothing will change if his parents come and explains that there is no way out. The guy with the cap says there has to be a way. The man clutches his head. Mom explains that Manhwa is still calling 911 and advises him to watch the news because the situation is really serious, so he shouldn't go outside. Manhwa tells him to stay in touch and not to worry too much, then replies that it's okay. Mom sends a link to the video. A man says a disaster area has been declared. The man says that in some areas of Seoul and Gyeonggi-do, where cells of the unknown virus appeared, the government declared these areas as extremely dangerous disaster zones. The woman explains that health authorities are scrambling to quickly address the situation, and that roads and facilities near the affected area have been blocked by military forces. Below, it states that President Park has declared Seoul a special disaster area, and that people aged 20 and over. A guy in a cap says that political groups are predicting the declaration of martial law for the first time in 40 years since 1980 in an emergency of unknown origin. The man says they're really in deep shit, and Manhwa asks if he's okay. He says, "Shut up." And the man sighs and curses. The guy is screaming. Fire trucks with flashing lights are driving down the street. The guy says he hears a fire engine and asks if there is a fire somewhere. The guy in the cap explains that they are not going to save them, and the other guy is surprised and says, "Oh shit, so what?" The guy says that if he could, he would set the place on fire. The guy asks where the other guy is going and explains that there was a trash can there, and the guy explains that he doesn't need a trash can. The guy in the cap says it's a good idea and suggests giving it a try. The man asks what exactly he means and what we should try. The guy explains that he means fire and suggests waiting. The guy is surprised, asking what. The guy says the trash can is somewhere here and is surprised. The guy asks if the other guy is completely sane and wonders if he's going to do it. And Yinwer explains that maybe there's something like a lighter in there. A hand digs through a pile of trash. The guy says he hopes there is a lighter. The guy notices something at the door. The guy says he really wants to set the place on fire and warns he's out of his mind. And the man explains that if there's a fire, they'll come put it out. The guy yells that he's crazy and doesn't know it, and that if anything happens, they'll be held responsible. The guy says that the man is surprised. The guy is screaming. The image shows a mess of trash, among which an empty can with the inscription Perry, a lighter, and various paper and plastic packaging are visible. The guy says he found a lighter. The guy explains that he can't light it because it seems to be out of gas, and he screams. The man says, "Damn it." The guy yells at them to shut up, and Yinwer asks what's wrong. The guy says that we need to hurry up and go, and then shouts a curse word. A man with a distorted body stands in the hospital corridor. He explains that his body has changed due to an illness and that he cannot control himself. Yinwer is surprised that he couldn't do it. In the corridor by the door stands a huge creature with many growths and dripping slime. Government and... The woman reports that roads and facilities near the affected area have been blocked by military forces, and health authorities are scrambling to address the situation as quickly as possible. Below, it's reported that President Park has declared Seoul a special disaster area. The man says, "Who?" The woman looks at the screen. According to some videos taken by isolated citizens, something unusual is reportedly happening. A man is screaming, "What the hell is this?" And a girl is screaming. The whole of Seoul has become truly terrible. A woman reacts with surprise to what she sees on her phone. A woman screams that the situation is much worse than they thought, and a man asks if this is true. The guy says it looks like they've arrived at the checkpoint and he wonders what's going on. The woman says he's not answering the phone. The man asks what's wrong, then explains that there might be a network problem. The woman explains that he's definitely answered it before. The guy in the cap says he can't go because he has a lot of things to do today, and the other guy explains that he's also busy and won't be able to help. The guy is screaming. A man screams. The guy says he doesn't think he's going to go in, and Yinwer replies, "Ah." The guy with glasses says it scared him to death and that it appeared so suddenly, and he explains that it's true. The guy screams, but explains that he feels like he's getting bigger and calls him a fucking monster. The guy says these things look like frog eggs and they're like. The guy is screaming. The image shows liquid bubbles bursting with a distinctive sound. The guy screams that this is crap. The guy yells that he's scared, and Yinwer asks if he's okay. The guy is screaming. The man asks if he's okay, and Yinwer reassures him, telling him not to worry. The guy yells that he is going to do it and says that he said that he was going to set the place on fire so that the firefighters would notice them, and also demands to hurry up and do something. The guy is screaming. The hand is clutching a lighter. The man asks if everything will be okay. Yinwer says what he thinks. The image shows a hallway with a staircase and a door. A slime-like substance is spreading and growing on the floor and railings, partially covering the structures and walls. A sign with the words "Exit" and an arrow pointing left hangs on the wall. There is a cable car cabin on the stairs. Paper sheets are scattered around, and you can hear trembling. There are cracks and signs of damage visible on the wall near the window. The guy falls to his knees, leaning his hands on the floor, and trembling. The guy is screaming. The man is surprised. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. The man explains that if he starts a fire here, they will die from smoke inhalation, and that there is a fire suppression system. The boy asks what to do then. The guy says they're going to the 3rd floor, and the other guy asks why and explains that he's been thinking about it. The guy explains that they are now on the 2nd floor and says that each floor has an exit and an entrance. The man says that while one will distract the monster at the entrance, the other will go up to the exit and start a fire on the 3rd floor. The man explains that since the cable car is outside, the sprinklers won't be able to put it out, so the fire and smoke will only spread, and asks who will go up. The man is silent. Enro is silent. The guy in the cap is silent. The man in glasses is also silent. The man shouts at Enro and says that if he later brags that he was the one who climbed up. The man says that it was his idea and he must do it, and also explains that he, too, will not be envied, fighting one-on-one with this monster. A man flicks a lighter. The guy screams that he's and says that who. The guy is screaming. The man tells Zhu Byung and hopes that he will take care of it. Enro says that he believes and should believe in him and then says who. A man sets fire to paper with a lighter. The guy shouts that he succeeded. The man says the next one will be a bag and sets it on fire. A man climbs the wall of a building. The guy screams. Enro is surprised and says he can't believe it. The monster screams. The guy screams and jumps up sharply, stepping back. The image shows what appears to be a disintegrating creature with long limbs moving or falling downwards. The guy screams and runs quickly. A man screams. A man screams. A man screams that he is being hit and a hand with fire flies towards him. Burning paper falls from a tree. The monster screams and spits fire. The guy screams, and he responds with surprise. Bones burn in the fire. The guy yells that he's and then yells that he's ha. The guy screams that it is him and says what the hell is this? The phone rings. The guy tells them to get down as quickly as possible. And Enro tells them that the monster burned alive and asks why. The guy screams that he disappeared and laughs. The guy screams that this monster has disappeared. The guy says he thinks he went upstairs and is surprised. The man says he's not sure he can go back now, and the other asks why. The guy says that when he was making a fire, a monster attacked him, but he was able to set it on fire. The man says the fire blocked his exit. The guy screams that he can't go back. The guy is shouting what he should do now, and the other one says that he doesn't have much time and therefore needs to hurry down. The guy screams. A sigh is heard in the room. The guy is screaming. On the stairs stands a creature with a vague shape and many growths. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. Flames engulf wooden planks and branches, spreading inside the room. A guy shouts ha and he against the backdrop of a burning stairwell. The man exhales and screams. The guy is screaming. The boy screams and bends over, trying to hide from the fire. The guy is screaming. The monster screams and breathes heavily. The monster screams. A man picks up something from the floor against the backdrop of a burning room, and the clothes begin to burn. The man screams and throws a powerful punch. The guy screams and hits the creature. The guy screams that he's laughing and screaming, and the creature makes a hoarse sound. The monster screams. A boy screams and grabs his clothes as fire erupts in front of him. The guy is screaming. The man makes a hoarse sound. The guy is screaming. The monster screams. The guy screams and then throws a burning rag aside. Burning paper falls down. The monster screams and hits the floor. The guy screams that he can't believe it. The boy screams and the man makes a sound of surprise. The monster screams Q, and the guy in the cap reacts with surprise. The monster screams. A man screams. Fire bursts out of the hand. The guy screams and then looks surprised. A guy screams curses as his hand is engulfed in flames. The guy screams and rushes forward. The boy screams as the monster spews flames. The man stands watching. The man yells at Enro what he's doing and orders him to run. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. A guy screams that he's going to kill, and another guy screams that he's not afraid. A man screams. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming that something is wrong with his throat. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming what the hell. A guy in a cap asks if another guy who is falling is okay. The guy yells at them to leave him alone. The man reacts to this. The guy is screaming and the other one is saying ha. The man says that the person he was talking to didn't listen to him, became overconfident and went alone, couldn't set the fire properly and ruined everything, and then calls him a brat and yells. The guy shouts what they should do now and accuses his interlocutor of wanting to start a fire again, calling him a bastard. The guy says that one way or another he is a brat. The guy screams that this is serious. The guy screams that he wants the other guy to die and asks why he's mad at him. The guy screams that he is like a scared puppy who couldn't do anything because he was scared. The man shouts that he is a bastard and asks what the interlocutor said. Manhwa says he's wrong and explains that he's so pathetic, saying he abandoned them even though he was scared to jump and go after them and it's so obvious but he denied it. The man yells that the guy is a brat and thinks he wasn't dumped, and the guy explains that he was just a little late. The man yells that this is complete nonsense. The guy in the cap shouts what he said, and he explains that he didn't understand. The guy in the cap says he'll wait a minute, and the guy with the backpack wonders what this is. The boy and the man scream at the same time, expressing strong surprise. The sound of a shot is accompanied by a sharp movement of the creature. The guy is screaming. There is a loud bang and the door swings open. The guy screams that he's safe, and the man screams and says, "Damn." The man repeats, "Damn." The man says it can't come in here. Manhwa and the man scream in surprise. A guy screams that he's shit and another guy is surprised. The man says that he just didn't say that it couldn't come in here, and Manhwa screams and swears. The guy screams that he couldn't have known that they could fit through the cracks. The guy yells to shut up and run, and Manhwa says that we need to cross to the other side. The guy screams and the other guy is surprised. The man says huh and then who. The guy is screaming what the hell. Destroyed buildings and cars covered in a strange sticky substance are visible on the street, and lifeless bodies lie on the ground. The boy and the man scream and turn around sharply. The guy is screaming. A loud fire alarm is heard. A guy is screaming and another guy is breathing heavily. The guy is screaming, the guy is screaming. A loud alarm sounds. The guy is screaming. The image shows a parking lot with parked cars and smoke rising in the distance behind the building. A man flicks a lighter. The guy yells that there's a fire on the third floor and reminds him that he saw the fire alarm. And Manhwa is indignant at what he's doing while the guy is trying to set something on fire. The guy says he'll try his best and orders them to hurry up and find something to light. The creature screams. The guy asks to light a lighter. The guy says they don't have time for this and asks what the other guy is doing. The other guy tells him to shut up. The guy screams that it's crap and orders them to light it up, and the man laughs and says crap. The guy shouts that he doesn't understand. A guy yells that he's swearing, and another guy yells. The man is surprised. The guy screams, noticing something at the window. The man explains that this creature is neither a human nor an animal, but something else that cannot be classified. The guy is screaming. A man screams. The guy is screaming. A broken pot of earth lies on the floor, and next to it is a strange creature with elongated limbs and a deformed body. Light can be seen through the broken window, falling on the floor and objects in the room. A guy screams and another guy screams after him. The guy shouts a swear word and kicks away sharply. The guy is surprised that it is actually dead. A man screams. The guy with the cap says it's time to talk, laughs, and asks if the other guy saw that. The other guy is surprised, asking if he said he was a cowardly puppy. The man says he is not as clumsy as his interlocutor and explains that he has saved him twice. The guy says he feels good and that he's so cool. A man is screaming and a guy is asking why he went silent. The guy shouts that Zubyung is behind him. The man is surprised. The guy screams and violently fights off the chains. The guy is screaming. The guy screams, then screams again, while simultaneously clicking his lighter. The guy screams that he's a whore and repeats it with more force, simultaneously begging please while the lighter clicks in his hands. The boy screams and the man is amazed. The guy shouts that it's Zubyung. The guy screams that he is choking and coughing. The guy screams that he should light up and asks him to do it. A man flicks a lighter. The man says with difficulty that he thanks Yinhua. The guy is screaming. A man coughs and chokes. A guy lights a match. A man screams. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. A man screams while lighting a lighter. The guy says Q and woo. The guy screams and lights a lighter. A strange creature with elongated limbs and dripping liquid appears on the floor in the corridor. The plant is burning. A scream is heard. The monster screams, then lets out a loud cry as it advances towards the man. The man yells at them to get out and calls them creatures. The monster screams and strikes with a fire weapon. The guy screams, "Die, die, die." The guy yells "Go to hell" and hits the creature with his weapon. The monster screams Q. A scream comes from the depths of a stone passage. The guy is screaming. The guy screams and hits the monster. The monster screams. The guy is screaming. A guy stands next to a large strange creature that is lying on the floor and shaking. The guy screams and rushes into the attack, engulfed in flames. The scream is accompanied by a sharp explosion sound. The guy shouts that this is complete nonsense. The guy screams and makes a sound. Fire engulfs debris and branches. The guy says the name Zubyung. A man asks for forgiveness. The man says sorry Zubyung. He explains ha and shouts what the hell. Yinhua explains that he's truly sorry. The guy is screaming. The guy screams and is surprised. The guy screams that he is desperate and swears. The guy is screaming. A strange creature with long limbs and many protrusions on its body appears in the corridor, making a drawn-out sound. The image shows a forest landscape with 2 television towers against the sky, with road markings and signs visible among the trees and rocks. The girl says, "Guys, they saw what was happening on the street, right?" and laughs. The guy says they barely escaped and are now hiding on the bus. And the girl explains that there are a lot of buses near the cable car. The guy yells what Hongmi is doing. The guy says the girl is crazy and orders her to turn off the live broadcast. But the girl explains that she will continue it until the end and demands that she leave him alone. The guy says that in his area there is no time for jokes either, and the girl is surprised that this is serious. The guy asks if it's okay that the girl is going live now. The girl explains that everything is fine and doesn't think there's a monster nearby. The guy says that's not okay. The boy explains that at first all the students were in the class, and then he is surprised by the school trip and explains that somehow. The guy says that only a few of them survived. The girl explains that she's tired and wants to sleep. The guy says they'll be there soon. The girl with the ponytail lowers her head. The girl is silent. The girl is surprised and says that she didn't know that if you look at the cells, you can see the nucleus. The woman explains that it's near Seoul Station, and the girl says what it means. The guy says there's a temporary shelter at Seoul Station, and the girl confirms it seriously. The guy asks if Seoul is on lockdown, and Yinhua explains that now they don't know what to do. The guy thanks them for the information and says that their subscribers are the best. The girl explains that they need to go to Seoul Station. The man says that he found the way to the station and doesn't think it's far. The guy shouts that he doesn't understand. The guy shouts that he, the woman, is surprised. A strange, skeletal figure with long limbs is visible on the street, standing near a tree on the sidewalk. Through the bus window, an empty street and part of a seat inside the vehicle are visible. The monster makes a sound. The monster makes a hissing sound. Outside the window, a strange creature with many eyes and long limbs can be seen standing next to the trees. For people sleep huddled together on an empty bus. The guy shouts, "Ha!" The girl covers her mouth with her hand. The monster screams. The guy yells that he's not leaving and swears, and the girl screams. The guy says they were seen and asks what to do now. The monster makes the sounds kyuk and kyu. A sound appears that accompanies the movement of the dog's tail. The monster screams. A black cat with white paws and spots on its face walks with its tail raised and looks back. The image shows a large monster face with bulging eyes and an open mouth with teeth visible. The image shows a cat staring forward with its mouth open. There are no text messages or speech. A black cat runs past. A creature with long limbs is visible behind the glass. The boy screams. The man screams. The guy shouts that it really is gone. The guy with the cap says the train station is about 1.4 kilometers away, and it'll take about 30 minutes on foot, and asks what to do next. The man explains that it's too dangerous outside. The guy is surprised when he asks about Yanhwa. The girl asks what about him. The guy replies that the girl says that Yanhwa will stay there to wait for them. The guy explains that he saw him when they were running away, and the other guy says that he was on the second floor. The girl is sure that he is waiting for them and explains that even now they can help. The man says the girl can try going alone. The girl is surprised. The guy with the backpack explains that the situation isn't ideal, and the guy in the cap asks if that's okay. The girl next to him is surprised. The guy explains that they are going to Seoul Station and he is in charge, and then asks the guys to trust him. The man says he regrets Yanhwa, but going back there would be suicide. The guy says that the other one is already too late and in such a place. The man says the fire started due to a short circuit and explains that the building needs to be evacuated immediately. He explains that he called the fire department and asks people not to panic. A loud scream is heard. A guy kneeling against a wall, clutching his hand and screaming. The guy is screaming. The guy screams and the sound of a burning fire is heard. The guy screams and falls to the floor amidst the fire. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. A boy screams and then breathes heavily as he lies on the floor in a burning room. There are fire trucks with their lights flashing on the road, and cars are burning and smoking all around. The guy is screaming. A guy runs, trying to make it between two buses. The guy opens the door of the bus and starts to go inside. A man presses the doorbell and is then surprised. The guy shouts to be heard. The man says the door is open and he needs to hurry, and the other man is surprised. A guy in a cap is running, a girl with a ponytail and a guy in a light t-shirt are running after him. The guy yells that she can't run any faster, and the man explains that they didn't run past her. The girl is breathing heavily. The woman asks where the key is. The guy replies that he doesn't know, and Yanhwa explains that he's trying to find it. The girl asks the guy if he's really sure he can drive, and the guy tells her he has 120 hours of driving in the game and asks her not to doubt it. A man screams that he can't choke. A boy screams that he can't choke either. A boy screams Hannah's name. The guy is screaming, he's angry. He's breathing heavily and shaking. The girl asks Hannah if she is okay. The woman calms Hami down and asks if she's okay, and Hami says she can't run anymore, so she suggests staying here. A guy tells Hannah to think twice, and another guy asks if she's really going to give up. The man says that another person makes him sick. The guy says they can't stay here and that whining alone won't help matters. The guy asks if he could have said it differently, and the girl explains what else he should have said. The woman says she has to say what she has to say and orders him to leave her alone, while the man demands he stop being an asshole. The girl screams that she is in pain. The guy is screaming. A man asks how a girl's leg is. A man offers a girl a seat, explaining that she doesn't look well. The girl is surprised. The girl says that she is doing well. The girl asks what the guy is doing and what it is, and the guy replies that it is. The guy asks Soyeon if he knows what this thing is. The guy says he noticed her recently and that there's one like her on every bus. The girl listens. The girl is surprised and says that it is. The guy is surprised that it's an emergency hammer. The guy says that you need to collect such things because no one knows when they might come in handy, and explains that it could be on the cable car. The guy says he'll give it to him and explains that if they're attacked by monsters, they need to break the glass. The girl says everything is fine. The guy yells hey, and the girl explains that she doesn't think there's anything there. The guy says that it's enough to waste time and orders to follow him. A guy runs past two buses. The guy screams and then starts running fast. An empty sidewalk with several tables and chairs is visible outside a building with a traffic light next to it. A man runs ahead. 3 people run behind him, and on the right a man with a bag hurries after them. The man explains that he cannot afford to lose. The boy screams. The man screams. The guy says that this is the last bus, and the girl asks what if they don't find the keys there either. The guy then speaks and explains that they will then walk to the station. The guy says they are coming now. The guy shouts forward. The sound of approaching footsteps can be heard. The guy screams and tries to open the bus door. The guy is screaming at them not to open it. The guy screams and the man makes a sound. The guy is screaming. The guy screams that he is in shock. A guy in a cap shouts run, a girl shouts run. The woman is shouting for people to come here. The guy with glasses screams, and the girl with short hair and the girl with a bun are surprised. The woman shouts to come here and hurry. The woman shouts to the children to run here and quickly. The guy with glasses is screaming that he can't believe what's happening. The girl with dark hair is saying that the situation is getting out of control, and the girl with red hair is explaining that they need to do something urgently. The man says that this bus is full of monsters and screams louder. Several people are running down the street. For young people scream, expressing strong emotions. A girl screams. A man and two girls run after her. A guy screams. A girl screams. A woman says her heart is about to jump out of her chest. The guy shouts, "Guys!" The woman is surprised. A woman explains that she was worried, and another woman says that Soyeon is alive. The guy is screaming. The image shows a huge creature with many limbs and a lumpy body surface. It stands on four legs and looks forward. The guy screams and waves a burning stick wildly. A guy yells, "Get lost," and calls someone a monster. There is a sudden movement of the hand. The guy is screaming. The guy says that he asked for help, and repeats that he asked for help. The guy shouts Zubyung's name and asks for forgiveness. The guy says he wanted to help and explains he couldn't do otherwise. The guy is screaming. The man says not to worry. He says to become like him, and then he says that the man says they can be friends again. The man's hand becomes blistered. The man screams. The guy is screaming. The guy is screaming. The guy is surprised and asks what it is. The guy is surprised and asks what's going on. A bandaged and blood-stained hand is shown. The man in the yellow shirt explains that he's not sure that's true, and the guy sits with his head down. The man asks if he'll be coming, and Yinwoo explains that Manager Lim will be coming. The man explains that he'll do it tomorrow. A man asks for permission. The guy says he woke up and asks if his hand is okay. The man is surprised. The man says you can feel right at home, you just need to fill out a couple of forms, and then one of the employees will show you around the facility. The guy asks if he needs to write an address, and the man explains that he can just write his contact information. Yinwoo remains silent. The man bows his head down. The man says that, by the way, he is lucky. The man says it's really hard to survive now and explains that there's a fire station in Namsan where his friend, who works there, found another person. The guy says yes. The man is silent. The boy is silent. The guy asks what this place is, and the man in uniform explains. The man explains that the site used to be a gym for local residents, and then they received an official letter from the disaster relief headquarters. The man says that this place should be turned into a quarantine zone for survivors and serve as an emergency shelter, and also explains that everyone who was rescued in the area is here. A man in a yellow jacket asks a guy in a cap how he's feeling. A woman in an orange shirt stands next to him. A guy asks what time it is and is surprised that all the roads are blocked. The man explains that it's not right to do that to them. Another guy asks if that makes sense. The guy asks if he can ask. Yinwoo asks to be allowed to return to Bundaeng, and the guy explains that it's impossible. The guy asks if he can go to Seoul now. The guy in the cap and mask says he doesn't know yet. The guy explains that Seoul is now completely closed to prevent the virus from spreading to other regions. He's surprised. The guy is surprised that this is serious and says it's not good. The man in uniform remains silent. The police officer says sorry, and Yinwoo explains that he needs to call his parents and asks if they know where his phone is. The man tells him to wait a second, and he explains that he'll find his things now and runs away. The guy is silent. A man with a bandaged hand clenches his fist. The guy is surprised. The image shows an arm tightly bandaged. The guy is silent. The guy is surprised and says that Yinwoo. The guy is surprised. The guy tells Yinwoo and Yinwoo explains that it's great. The guy asks where the others are. The guy is silent. The guy shouts that Yinwoo. A guy with glasses yells that he's a brat, and another guy smiles. The man says he's glad the other one is okay. and he explains that Asura is in the corner and asks if he can see her. The guy asks where everyone else is. The guy with glasses asks if there was anyone else with him and explains that he was always next to Zubyung and also asks where he is. The guy asks the other guy if he knows what's wrong with him. The man is silent. The man in glasses says, "Fuck." The guy in white repeats, "Fuck." The guy screams that these creatures. The woman says she was thinking about a group project. The teacher asks for an experiment to be conducted in pairs and promises to check all the work afterwards. One girl objects, but the other agrees. The teacher explains that if she doesn't like the experiment, she can replace it with an English test. The girl refuses. The woman says she overdid it, and the man replies that he hates them. The guy asks who the girl will be with and offers to go with him to an internet cafe. The girl agrees. The guy shouts that the experiment they need to do. The guy says school sucks, and Yinwer explains that it's as easy as pie. The man asks what he wants to do and explains that if he has no ideas, he will take the lead. A man says he'll kill another man if he asks to watch another animated movie and laughs, calling him a brat, and the guy replies that he doesn't have one and asks what he's offering. The man says he has a great idea and asks if there is a cosplay event in Seoul. The guy says he won't be involved and calls the other guy a sick idiot, and the other guy asks who he's going to work with if not him, and adds that he's not going to do anything. The guy asks if they left those guys there. The guy in the black t-shirt says they're assholes and asks if that applies to him and Juben. The man in white explains. A boy with a backpack jumps off the roof of a bus. A girl in shorts explains that the bus will leave soon. A woman in a white shirt stands on the roof of the bus. Yinwer sits on the roof of the bus and says that the bus won't leave until they get off. The guy is silent. The man says he betrayed Yinwer and calls them assholes. The guy says they're bastards. The man in the last panel explains it's funny. The guy with glasses asks if the network is working again and asks not to use KakaoTalk, and the guy with the phone says he's going to teach those bastards a lesson. The woman says she's wondering if he's sure about this. The guy asks if it's true that he dumped the girl, and the girl is surprised and calls him Kongmin. The guy with glasses says that bookworms protect each other, and the other guy is surprised that he means to say that Yinwer is lying. The guy with glasses explains that he needs to go to school and asks if he's not studying for exams, and also says that Yinwer only reads books during trips. The girl apologizes and explains that she didn't know the boy was still little. Man tells her to watch her language. Guy asks what she just said. The guy with glasses says questioningly. The other guy is surprised. The man says that the interlocutor knows nothing and explains how they all died. The guy says he almost died. The man with glasses is silent. The man on the left is silent. The guy asks what happened to the guys. Yinwer is surprised that they didn't encounter any monsters and asks how they were able to survive. The guy says he was just lucky. The guy says this isn't the first time he's been in trouble. And the other guy turns to Yinwer. The guy says he wants to ask something. The man says, "Except for those bastards." The guy is surprised. The guy is silent. The guy says it doesn't matter. The guy says that it was hard for him anyway, and the other guy explains that nothing happened and laughs, then asks why that is. A man with a bandaged arm screams. The guy asks Yinwer what's wrong with his hand. If it's a burn. Yinwer explains it's simple and asks him not to worry about it. The guy explains he should have been more careful because Yinwer's parents would have been upset, and asks if he called them. The guy says it's definitely Kong Ji-hoon and asks if he can borrow his phone. The guy says he's calling his mom. The girl is surprised and says to Yinwer. The police officer says that if the man doesn't move away, they'll have to use force. The man is surprised and screams. Then the man screams again. The guy says he lost his phone and explains he's calling from a friend's number. The guy yells why the girl is crying, and she explains that she is asking her son for forgiveness and asking him to stop. When the highway near Seoul was closed, they left the car and walked to Yangjidong. It is explained that due to the rapid spread of the virus, many areas of Seoul were locked down, so they were unable to enter the city. It is said that when there was no service, the mother was so worried she couldn't sleep at all, and when she heard a voice, she burst into tears. It is explained that the mother calmed down a bit after the call. The guy asks if everything is okay with him, and he replies that yes. The man says, "Oh my God." The man explains that tissue necrosis has begun, and the boy says that the burn is only here, and it is a third-degree burn. The man asks the guy if he confirmed there was a fire in the cable car and wonders how it started. The guy remains silent. The man explains that it is his. Manhwa says his hand is fine, or the guy says it'll go away in a jiffy. The man explains that they've treated burns like this before and everything will be fine soon, so don't worry. He asks you to trust him. The man says that everything is over and now he can relax, and also explains that this is a quarantine zone. A man in a protective suit says there are a lot of soldiers here and they are not in any danger, and another man in a protective suit says they were told it was safe here. The man says that the news was talking about a lot of people trying to find shelter, but here there are a lot of people he knows. He explains that they are calling on people to die and are behaving like rats, then he is surprised. The man says he can't complain in front of the patient, then explains he's just joking and suggests finishing the examination. A man sits down at the table. The man says to hold on no matter what. The man says that it will be possible to return home soon and it is safe here, so he needs to calm down. The guy says it's good. A man in a protective suit speaks next. A guy with a bandaged arm lowers his head. The image shows a hand wrapped in bandages with the fingers raised. The guy is silent and screams. The man says he survived. The guy explains that his finger hurts. The image shows a hand wrapped in bandages. The guy remains silent, clenching his teeth. The guy explains that there is a road between Myeongdong Station and the train station, and if the girl goes there. The guy explains that he won't be able to go to the gym today because he has a lot of work, and the girl says that she is also busy and won't be able to meet. The girl says she can't understand why she is hated so much and explains that she did nothing wrong. The guy screams. He hugs the girl. The guy yells ha and says this. The guy is screaming. The image shows a close-up of a skull with cracks and damage. The girl screams. A man addresses the respected people of Korea with an urgent presidential message. A man explains that South Korea's capital, Seoul, is facing its worst crisis in history and explains that an unknown virus has caused enormous damage to the country. The man says the state is mobilizing all available resources to support isolation measures. A man in a gas mask says they are confident that the cleanup of Seoul will be complete after the 3 weeks of quarantine. The woman explains that this is being done for the safety of citizens. The man explains that contaminated areas are classified by severity level from 1 to 4, with 4 being the most severe. The voice explains that the government will also take care of unfounded rumors that confuse citizens. The guy on the right says they're sincerely calling for cooperation. The girl is explaining something on her laptop. The man in the cap is listening. The man on the left is clutching his head. The voice explains that citizens in dangerous areas are asked to refrain from rash actions. The woman explains that they are advised to go to the nearest shelter. The man shouts. A woman says, "Drink this." A man in a cap looks at his phone. A girl with long hair explains something, and a girl sitting with her back to him listens. The man asks how long the other is going to act like this, and Manhwa laughs and thanks the ma'am. The woman is surprised. Manhwa asks if anyone wants anything. The man in the cap remains silent. The girl with short hair and the woman with long hair look at Manhwa. The guy asks to get something from the fridge, the girl asks him to get something for her too, and the other girl is happy and thanks. The man thanks. The woman says she's surprised and asks if the kids are on a school trip. The guy says yes. The woman asks where the others are. The woman says the old man is talking nonsense again. The guy says he can't do it again, and the man explains that this guy is only talking about problems with his girlfriend and that it's the bus driver and everyone else. A woman says, "Oh my God. Keep it down." A man and a girl listen. The guy says he installed an emergency notification app and asks if they've heard the news, and the girl asks what exactly. The woman says the area is at level 2. The man asks if that's really the case. The girl asks what about the 3rd and 4th levels, and the man explains that he doesn't even want to imagine it. The image shows a fragment of a wall with ventilation grills and a device mounted against the wall, likely an air conditioner or heater. There are no text messages or characters. The girl says she's asking if she heard and calls Soyeon. The woman says Soyeon, and Manhwa is surprised and asks what. The woman says they're in a level 2 danger zone, and the girl is surprised, asking if that's true. The man asks if the woman heard what Kongmin just said. The guy asks if it wouldn't be better to go to Seoul Station. The woman says the news didn't say anything about help and suggests they wait here. The woman explains that on the news, the man in the cap says that these are just words, and the girl says that when he thinks that they will be saved. The guy says he can't get through to his mom and dad and just wants to know what happened to them. The woman says there's bad reception everywhere right now, and the man explains that everything will be fine with Jisung and hopes that everything will be fine with them. A man puts his hand on his phone and says he lacks courage. The guy says he will pick up the phone or not. The girl listens. The woman apologizes to Yinwoo and says that he saved her. But a girl says hi to everyone and asks them to guess where she is. A man asks what she's doing. Another man explains that Hanmi is simply addicted to streaming and says she created her Survivor blog yesterday, after which the number of views skyrocketed. 3 people say that Hanmi is streaming again today and are surprised that Hanmi survived the bus. The girl says she knows where she is and suggests trying to guess. A guy says he sees a menu with a box for cutlets with rice. The man explains that the restaurant serves pork cutlets. The girl asks if this is really a restaurant. The girl says that the owner of this restaurant saved them and that is why they are alive, explaining that she helps everyone, and behind her sits a couple of survivors. The girl asks if the guy can say hi to them, and he explains that he can't because the atmosphere here isn't very good. The man says thank you for the 10,000 won donation and starts explaining something. The girl shouts out that she's calling Choi Hand and asking him to look here, then repeats Hand's name. The man leans over and looks out the window. A man says that if he makes a heart with his hands, he'll get a donation of 10,000 won and orders her to do so. The girl is surprised. Laughter erupts in the comments. The woman says she will do everything she can. The girl shouts that she is a granny, and the granny replies that she is a granny and a granny. A woman tells an old woman she wants to interview her, and the old woman is surprised and asks for clarification. The woman explains that the old woman is the owner of this wonderful restaurant and asks her to hurry up and say hello. The old woman says hello and asks who exactly. The man sits, holding himself. The girl tells him to hurry up and introduce himself, but the guy explains that he can't do that. The man asks the girl to turn it off. The man says they are not here for fun and games. The girl wonders what's wrong with this guy and explains why he tells her what to do. The man shouts that the girl. A woman in a blue shirt speaks. A woman in a light sweater listens. A man abruptly puts his hand on the table. The girl is surprised and says hey. The man says she didn't understand what he said. The girl says that when she asks you to stop it, you need to stop it. The man says he is serious. The girl is surprised. The guy is screaming. A woman reaches out her hand to a man. The man is surprised. The guy says he already ate today, and the girl is surprised. The guy asks Hanmi what happened. The man says he simply asked her to turn off the broadcast. The guy says the man is threatening him. The man says they will turn it off. The guy says he'll turn it off and asks not to worry. The man says they are stupid, ill-mannered children. The woman screams at him and asks him what's wrong and why he's taking it out on the kids. The man is surprised. The guy says, "Oh, ma'am." The man says nothing happened. The man explains that he shouldn't be polite to such rude children. The girl shouts at Hanmi and asks if he's okay. The girl wonders why this guy is so aggressive and says that to me. The guy tells her to turn off the stream and asks why the girl is doing this at all when everyone is already nervous. The guy is screaming. The guy keeps saying he's screaming. The girl explains that everyone looks so down and she was just trying to cheer everyone up. The guy explains that if something goes wrong, you can at least film it. The guy asks why the girl is crying at all, and the girl screams Hongmi. Yinwoo tries to calm the girl down, who is covering her face with her hands and coughing. The woman tells Hanmi not to cry. The man asks if Hanmi is okay. The woman says that if the girl cries, she will start crying too. The guy looks at them. The guy is screaming. The guy calls everyone around him a bunch of idiots. The guy is screaming. A guy yells that he's swearing. A girl and a man look at him. A guy is yelling about what's going on. A man in a cap explains that he doesn't know. A girl in pink says it's weird. A girl behind her explains that she doesn't understand either. A girl in a blue jacket says it's unexpected. A guy in a white t-shirt yells that it's terrible. The cat screams. The cat repeats the scream. The woman is surprised that it is a cat, and the girl repeats the word. A woman says ah and another woman says oh chest, and then someone is surprised. The cat eats from a plate. The man says that she is his baby and asks her to eat well. The woman explains that strays shouldn't come inside, as it could become a big problem. She yells at them to be quiet and declares that this is her establishment and she decides who is allowed in. The cat hisses. A hand rubs the cat's chin. The girl says the power of cuteness. The woman explains that the cat likes people. The cat meows. The woman asks what is wrong, and the girl explains that something is wrong. The woman says she doesn't see Jumsong and explains that the two always walk together. A narrow city alley between buildings is shown.